Hi, I'm Cameron Humphreys from Humphreys Outdoor Power, and today we are talking about lubrication. It's the key to life, and it's also the key to life for your Stihl 2-cycle equipment. One of the biggest questions I get around here is what is the difference between the Stihl Orange and the Stihl Silver? The orange is their high performance, the silver is the HP Ultra. But what actually are the differences? Is this better than this? We're going to dive in and find out. Let's get into it. So the place to start is, why do we even need 2-cycle oil? And the answer is for 2-cycle engines and Stihl 4 mix, which still take 2-cycle oil. This stuff is what actually lubricates the motor. It prevents the rings from sticking. It prevents the piston from scuffing. It promotes piston cleanliness. We avoid pre-ignition. It controls the exhaust smoke. It provides bearing lubrication through the crankshaft and the connecting rod, and it prevents exhaust port blockages. Basically, this stuff is the lifeblood of your machine. It's keeping it clean, it's keeping it lubed up so that everything's working well, and if you get the right stuff, it can also prolong the life of your machine. Now, there are two kinds of 2-cycle mix: low ash and ashless. So low ash has a carbon additive that adds a little bit of ash whenever it burns, which aids in cooling and in lubricating. Ashless doesn't have that. This is what we would put on any kind of marine outboard motor that's liquid cooled. On all of our air cooled stuff, we want a little bit of ash. On all of our marine equipment, we don't need any ash, and we'll let the water that's going through the engine cool the machine. It is very important to not use the ashless kind for marine equipment in air-cooled engines, as at high temperatures and high RPMs, it could fail. All Stihl products require a 50:1 ratio of gasoline to oil. So most of these are already pre-packaged, so you can buy them. This particular one makes 2 gallons. What you would do, get the appropriate container, put your oil in, mix your gas in, and then put the lid back on, shake it up, and you've got your mix ready to go. You can get these things in various sizes that make various amounts of gasoline. The 1 gallon is probably the most popular. We sell a 6-pack of those. We've got 2 gallon, 2.5, or if you want to, you can buy it in bulk like this, and then there is a table on the back which will help you to mix it appropriately. If you don't want to mix gas at all, you can go with the Moto Mix, which already has a 93 octane ethanol-free gasoline, and it would be mixed with this silver HP Ultra mix. And this stuff's really good for your engine. It's a little bit more on the expensive side, but it is already pre-mixed, and because it doesn't have ethanol in it, once you crack the seal, it's still good for up to 2 years. So could be a very good investment for you. I know I personally like to run this stuff towards the end of my year to help clean everything out, flush that carburetor out a little bit, and get my stuff ready to go, or as I'm putting it away for winter. Now, I did briefly mention that this Moto Mix takes this HP Ultra mix in it. So, and this comes down to the biggest question of what is the actual difference between this and this. It's been a long going thing where if you were to purchase a 6-pack of premium Stihl HP Ultra 2-cycle mix with your machine, it will double the warranty. On a chainsaw, that takes it from 1 to 2 years. On a lot of the other handheld equipment, it goes from 2 to 4 years. That is a thing that Stihl stands by. They think if you use this, you deserve to have an extra year of warranty, or you deserve to double your warranty. You can also do the same thing if you buy a gallon of Moto Mix with your purchase. It's effectively doing the exact same thing, but it's all because it's using this HP Ultra. So one of the main differences, this HP Ultra is a full synthetic. The orange HP is a partial synthetic. That's going to allow it to lubricate a little bit better, burn a little bit cleaner. These two items are both proprietary, so they're not going to go into deep detail and tell us why this guy is better than this guy. But they do have a study that I thought was very interesting that they show to all onboarders of Stihl. I've seen it a couple times now, but I wanted to share it with you guys to show the case study that they did. Basically, they took a backpack blower, a BR600, and they ran it continuously for 500 hours. They would only pause to refill the fuel. They used this Stihl HP Ultra. They use the Stihl regular HP, and then they use 3 other random brands. It does give us a pretty good comparison to see what these two are doing and what some random other 2-cycle mixes are doing on the market. So let's go ahead and dive into that study. All right, so we're going to start here looking at the oil comparison in the crankcase. So all of these images are after the 500 plus hours of continuous running with the BR800. As we can see here, we can see a lot of gunk buildup on many of these. The Stihl HP Ultra obviously looks the best. Whatever brand A was looks pretty good as well. But we can see a stark difference here between the HP Ultra and the regular HP. So next up we've got the piston crown, which is the very end of the piston. Here we see the HP Ultra really start to pull away from everything else. You can see some carbon marks on the end of that piston, but obviously it's much cleaner than all the other pistons there. That brown sludge on some of the other pistons there, brand A and C, is actually a byproduct of gunk that never burnt down, and that can be a big cause of stuck pistons. That's something we see when a machine really wears out. So that's what you definitely don't want. A little bit of that carbon there is fine. We talked about that earlier. That's one of the ways it keeps itself cool. But again, you can see the stark difference there between the HP Ultra and the HP. So now we're going to look at the outside of the piston, and again, it's very telling. Brand A seems to be doing okay. HP Ultra obviously is better than the other 4, but you can definitely see a difference here between the HP Ultra and the Stihl HP. The one thing we're going to find about this is just the Stihl HP Ultra is consistently the best in almost every category, but we'll go ahead and move on here to the exhaust valve. Again, minimal wear here for the Stihl HP Ultra. You've got significant wear on all the other brands, and this is something that you would expect to see. We'll go ahead and flash the spark plugs up there. Stihl HP has the second best looking spark plug behind the HP Ultra, but you'd expect to see this kind of wear. This 500 continuous hours was meant to simulate about 1 year of professional use on these BR800 blowers, and I mean that's a commercial grade machine, and running like these things are not designed to be ran. So most of the time you want to let these engines breathe a little bit, get off the throttle, kind of let them recover. That's not what happened here. They ran these engines consistently for 500 plus hours on every single unit, and you can see that with just about everything except Stihl HP Ultra, it really took its toll. So the pictures are awesome in this, and they really paint a very vivid picture of how that HP Ultra is performing, especially compared to the regular HP 2-cycle mix. But one of the other things they did that's really interesting is they did a leak down test, which is kind of a measurement on where it's how much compression you're losing in the engine. And as we look at this graph here, it's very, again, just like all the other pictures, it's very striking to see how much little leak down loss the HP Ultra machines had compared to everything else. And that all brings us to this graph, which I think is absolutely the most telling. This is a measurement of the compression after 500 hours of runtime on the entire machine. This is including the leak down that we had. And you can see that the compression in the Stihl HP Ultra machines actually went up, which is kind of absurd to think about. After 500 hours of runtime, it actually gained 10 psi, whereas everything else lost. And that is just, it's really cool. If you weren't a believer in these silver bottles and you look at this data and you aren't one, I'm not sure you'll ever be one. It really, this data, now granted, we have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt because this was Stihl's data, right? It was their tests that they were running. So we don't know if this has ever been verified by a third party or anything like that, but if nothing else, the data that Stihl's willing to share on this, I mean, it does make a very compelling argument for buying HP Ultra, paying a little bit more for that than the regular HP to protect our engines. As you can see from the results of the study, they make a pretty compelling case for why someone would want to use this over this. This is completely adequate. So if you're just a regular homeowner, you can absolutely use this. If you want to get the most life out of your investment, this stuff is probably what you should be using. I mean, just looking at the data, they way overworked those BR600s, and this stuff seemed to make a lot of the difference in terms of cleanliness and how it would operate. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you like content like this, make sure to subscribe. As always, leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions for any future videos. In the meantime, have a great day.